for a model lifestyle celebrity series. I am so excited. This is the first show in our celebrity series, and we are kicking it off with Tito Puente Jr.
Oh, wait, I gotta do the.
There you go.
Hi, Judy.
A small preview. Hey, Tito, how's it going?
Nice to see you. We're hanging in there. They call me Quarantito.
I love it. That's awesome. Quarantito. We got it all going on tonight. And I'm excited, Tito, because What Women Want show has gotten 1.5 million downloads as a podcast. And we're kicking off our celebrity series now with you, and it's perfect. It's Hispanic Heritage Month. Everything is just all in sync, and it's just a beautiful thing. And before we start the show, Tito, I want to thank one young lady out there, Tina Trevino, because that's how we met, right? For a webinar for Latin Business Magazine. And you know, Tito, when I met you that night, I just thought, oh my gosh, I have to interview him in some way. I don't know how, I don't know where, but you know, this whole COVID mess has flipped everything on its head. And I thought, wow, what a great time to start our celebrity series. So thank you so much for coming on with us tonight.
I want to thank you, Judy, and shouts out to Tina Trevino, Latin Business Group. They're so fantastic, the Latin Business Today people. Tina, I know for years, she lives right next door to my mom up in Rockland in New York. So it's kind of funny, like we never crossed paths before, but thanks again, Tina, for introducing me to you, Judy, and you have some history there. You're a pretty popular lady. I've seen you on QVC and stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I'm a TV host, and you know, I created this show to talk about you. And
I'm very intrigued by your celebrity status too. So I was like, wow, she's going to interview me. I'm so excited.
Oh, please. Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Well, it's such a pleasure to have you on the show. And you really did, you know, inspire me when we had that webinar and I got to ask you a question. And honestly, that's where this idea was born of my model lifestyle brand and celebrity series. So you're the perfect person to kick it off. And, you know, I feel like a lot of people out there do know me that are watching, and obviously they know Tito Puente Jr., the name, the legacy, everything else that goes along with that. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But I found some fun facts about your dad and yourself that people may not know when I was researching the show. So the first one is that your father he was drafted into the military, and he served in World War II. He has a scholarship fund at Juilliard for Latin men and women. He's made more than 100 albums, which is crazy. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
And you know what, Tito? He started not in music, but in dance. And that fascinated me. And then I looked over at some fun facts about you, and you actually started in hard metal.
All the way.
The first question is, and I have a lot of them.
Okay.
What made you switch over from heavy metal to jazz or Latin, or where did it start?
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised in New York City, Spanish Harlem. My father as well, Ernest Anthony Puente Jr., otherwise known as Tito Puente. He named me. I'm the number 3 in line. My brother Ronnie, who's his firstborn, and then my sister Audrey, who's a meteorologist in New York. You might have heard of her, Audrey Puente. And then myself, I'm the baby of the family, Tito Puente Jr. And when I grew up in New York City at the time in the 1970s, I'm an 80s baby, 70s baby. There was such an eclectic, different style of music happening at that time, in that era. Rock music was really popular at that time, going from Led Zeppelin all the way through the 70s, all the way into the 80s, into the hair metal bands. And I was just
That's
so
how I lost
by
my
that.
hearing.
Yeah, I loved it. I went to all the concerts and stage dived and all that. And I liked rock music, and I loved Phil Collins and Rush.
Van Halen was my first concert ever.
Van Halen, man, absolutely great band. Those are my favorites. My father did not care for rock music. He was into jazz, blues, and of course mambo music at the time. So he was always like, "Hey, you're playing this rock music." But go figure, you would never believe that one of the biggest Latin rock acts would remake one of his songs, Oye Como Va, meaning Carlos Santana, one of the rock icons would remake a Tito Puente classics tune. And it was just great growing up around musicians, especially. My father had a lot of musicians around him. And it was great. I loved it. I loved how I transformed into the mambo music, I guess, growing up and going on the road with him in my teenage years. Traveling with Tito Puente was an experience I will cherish forever throughout my entire career, the rest of my life, as he taught me how to become a performer, an arranger, composer, producer. And he would always tell me, he would always say, okay, Junior, listen and watch and don't talk. And I'd be like, okay, very quiet in the corner. I was very young. I was about maybe 13, 14 years old when I started traveling
when you started
with him.
going backstage?
Well, I was backstage when I was a baby. I was just sleeping. I was just sleeping through the concert because I didn't care for mambo music or Latin music at that time.
Right.
So through the ages of 8, 9, 10, 11, I was just backstage with my sister, and we would just, play board games and stuff. But as I started traveling with him after the age of 12 and 13, I liked percussion, but I like rock music. And I like playing big, rock band style drum sets. I didn't play the little timbales that my father was playing at the time, but not only did he play those, he also played the marimba and 13 other instruments.
Very talented man.
Yeah, I didn't appreciate it at the time, Judy. I did not appreciate what he was giving to the world, his amazing music and how he brought people together, until I traveled with him and I saw different cultures, people, languages, and people were dancing all for one purpose, and that was to dance to his music. And that's what really drove me to go from rock music into playing a little bit more 3/2 clave and the Latin stuff as I went into later in my teenage years. But,
and you wanted to, I guess, continue his legacy and to the world.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Yeah. As I grow older, I figured, there was a lot of pressure on me. A lot of people say nepotism was the word. How does it feel being the son of an icon, a legend? I always tell everybody, I always want people to remember who he was, and I continue his legacy and push his music to the farthest reaches and the new generation, because he passed away 20 years ago this year. And the 20-year-olds or the 18-year-olds today never saw Tito Puente live. And hopefully I can teach them a little bit about his legacy and the music derived from that mambo era of the 1950s and 60s and throughout his whole entire career.
Yeah, and you really have. You've brought together, like your father, all sorts of cultural genres, all sorts of different modalities, which you infuse into the music, combining, I feel like you've performed with symphonies, am I right? And,
yes.
And bring in, you've gone from heavy metal to performing with symphony orchestras and everything in between. So you really have run the gamut. And if there's one person that could, carry his legacy on, it's you. You are an entertainer. You get on stage and it's just the true passion really shines through. And that's the one thing that first impressed me when I met you. I was like, man, this guy's got such passion, and not just for what your father, did, but for what you're doing. You're really breaking the mold of music as well. You've performed 300 times in the past few years, right?
Yeah, it was quite the experience after my father's passing 20 years ago on how many people really enjoyed his music. Mm-hmm. And as I continue his legacy and push forward his music, remember, he had over 186 albums to his credit and 10,000 compositions. There's such a big catalog of vast music that he left on this planet before he went to the outer reaches of the universe to bring mambo. I tell my kids that, like, Grandpa's on the moon, and he's playing on all the planets and bringing that Tito Puente sound around the whole universe. However, that music and that legacy and all that music, I feel like it should be presented to a newer generation now. And hopefully that's what we're doing. Right now, during the pandemic, it's been very, very tricky and hard to celebrate, of course, his life and his legacy. And we were supposed to do, I think, maybe about 15 concerts from the past March all the way till this past July to do the 20th anniversary concert. However, we couldn't do that simply because of what's happening in the world today. But what I am seeing through these platforms and online is that people are keeping his name and his music alive by doing different dance routines. I see a lot of mambo dancers around the world dancing to Tito Puente music. A lot of these TikToks, these kids are starting to learn a little bit about it. And that's great. It's great that his music still resonates generation after generation. It never gets old. It really sounds fresh, new, exciting, and it brings people together.
And I love the story about how he brought the drums. So typically you see a concert, the drums are always in the back, and
That's
you
right.
had brought up that he was the first one to put them in the front and actually balance the music and make it sound like it should be that way.
Correct. At that time, Tito Puente was in the back, and he was very young at the time. He was actually 14, 15 years old, playing with Montusillo and Machito Orchestra. This was before he went into the war in 1941. So this is like 1939, 38. He was still a teenager at the time, but he was playing in the back. But he was so exciting and so rich in energy. In seeing him play, is that most of the band leaders were so intimidated by it. To bring that little Ernie kid, his name was Ernie, bring Ernie up to the front. And they called him Ernestito because it's a derivative of something small in Spanish. Chiquito, Tito, Tito. So my father was so exciting to watch that they brought him into the front of the orchestra. Here he is in a great photo where he was very, very young. I just wanted to share this with everybody. Very, very young in this photo. He's playing the vibes. I think he must have been maybe 19 or 20 prior to the war. And it was just incredible that he could change the dynamic of a percussion player and bringing Afro-Cuban music to and especially the timbal, the drum, the conga, the bongo, all to the front of the orchestra. He was one of the first in pioneering that.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And I know this year that you had planned a lot of concerts and all that to celebrate in his honor, right?
Yes.
And you have some other projects that you're working on too, isn't that right?
Wow. Yeah, there's a whole
You're not allowed to
thing.
say?
No, I can. I want to share it with everybody, as a matter of fact. And those of you who might not know, I was celebrating the 20th anniversary of Tito Puente. We were celebrating a tribute concert. We were going to do a tour on it. However, I did a streaming live tour a couple of weeks ago, a streaming live show a couple of weeks ago. I was very happy that I got the opportunity to do that.
It was great,
And,
by the way.
Yeah, thank you for viewing it. You guys can watch it. It's still repeating, I guess, on YouTube.
Oh, by the way, not a lot of people know out there that watch me and listen to me and have been following me for years. I'm half Puerto Rican, people.
You didn't tell me that. Mira, una boricua aquí, chico.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because people, when they hear that, they're like, "You're what?" And
Right.
so I highly support the, Hispanic Heritage Month and just everything I can do to get musicians and everyone out there.
This platform is fantastic, and I appreciate that. I didn't know you were Puerto Rican, so that's why you love the music of Puente. He's one of the icons of the Puerto Rican island.
I listen to him almost every night, and you know what? It's just it like you said, it's just music that makes you happy. It makes you want to move. It gets you out of and this is something that we need more than ever these days. So
Absolutely.
I'm just so happy that you're not stopping. You're not letting COVID stop you. You're not letting anything, in your way, get in your way.
Some things are a little bit tricky. However, I was doing a 20th anniversary album, which I'm 75% done. I just want to get into the studio, but I wanted to just tell all the fans that listen to Tito Puente music that I will have the album out. It's a lot of old classic Puente songs with the original singers that sang on those songs from the 1970s and 80s. And of course, those who are still with us. So I got some really fantastic celebrities on it. I got Tony Vega, Meñique. I'm looking at Sheila E. to participate, and Eddie Palmieri. And it's going to be a fantastic record. I hope to get it all together. Pandemic's given me a little trickiness in getting to different cities to record these great artists. But with that being put aside, I'm doing something really special that my family and I have agreed to do. And we've been saying this for a very long time, and we want to make sure that the fans remember who Tito Puente was. This past May 31st was the 20th anniversary of his passing. He passed away May 31st, 2000. And on that day, this past May 31st, we announced, along with Mr. Edward James Olmos, actor, that he has ascertained the rights to the Tito Puente biopic. So I'm excited about this, but first we wanted to do a docu-series or a documentary. So we're going to do a documentary first with Mr. Olmos, which we are now in the process of ascertaining and getting all the footage together. We're going to show Tito Puente from his humble beginnings in Spanish Harlem, being Puerto Rican, being New Yorker, growing up as a child prodigy of Spanish Harlem, and of course the mambo music and the timbales and the percussion that he played. We couldn't do a documentary in just 90 minutes because he says over 50-year career, over 100 albums. So we want to do a docu-series where we'll have maybe like an 8-part series of his entire career and his life, from his humble beginnings all the way till his passing in 2000. And then after that, we would like to do a biopic. We don't know who's going to play Tito. Everybody's telling me it should be me, but but I hope
well,
there'll
who
be.
else?
Oh, I don't know. Listen, folks, I don't have white hair yet. Like this guy.
That's what costume and makeup is for.
Yeah, but it's exciting that we're finally telling this story. My family's blessing is behind it. We got some fantastic producers and Mr. Elmos was a fan, not only a fan of Tito Puente, but a very good friend as well. And that's why he really wanted to participate. I think he's a great person to be on our team, and we have a great team of great screenplay writers that will come up with a very good docuseries. This will be out in 2021, folks, next fall, and you guys will see this great docuseries. One of these streaming, one of these streaming services will have it, but it will be a 6 to 8 part series of the life of Tito Puente documentary, and we will have everybody, you name it, every musician probably wants to get involved, so cross our fingers, but finally the story of Tito Puente will be told.
Why don't you launch it on Tito Puente Jr. Day?
I could, yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Tito Puente Jr. was honored to have his own day. So happy Tito Puente Jr. Day. I think it was about a week and a half ago, right?
It was about a week and a half ago, yeah. Then my father had one prior to that too, an honorary day, of course. But it's great to be honored in that way and celebrate his life. Because anytime you celebrate me, you're celebrating the king of Latin music. And I always consider him that pinnacle of person. And his music really, I wanted to resonate with the youth of today and the younger generation.
Well, it certainly does. And, you know, it's such a great thing that you're taking this and also, but you know, are also, you know, an incredible talent and you have, you know, your own style and your own way of doing things and your own passion. So it's nice to see that not only are you carrying his legend, that you know, you're not just repeating what he's doing, you're really wrapping it into, you know, a 21st century way of doing things. So it's just wonderful. So I have a question for you. You were pretty young when your father died. I mean, you know, that's very young.
Well, it was 20 years ago. I'm going to be 50, so I was maybe about 30 something.
That's young. That's young.
Yeah,
I mean, most of us still have parents at that point.
Yeah, it was a shock to everybody and to the whole Latin music world and the music world in general. But
totally.
I could say I was young. I felt very young when it happened.
So my question is, if there was one thing that you could say to your father about your growth as a musician in the past 20 years, what is it that you'd say?
Well, I could give only the advice that he gave to me to others. And he gave me that advice, which is, my son, make sure that you surround yourself with creative people, thus you will be creative. And he did that. And I try my best, especially during these times right now, this quarantine, as we are all social distancing right now. It's so hard to be around creative people, but with platforms and internet, we can be creative. We can come up with different sounds and unique ways to make music together. And
books and drawing and all kinds of things.
I guess the question, I don't want to derive from it, but it would be, what would Tito Puente do in a time like this? You know, and I think my father would, he's so funny, he would probably go to a deserted island somewhere and say, when it's over, call me, you know? But
that's kind of what I think all of us want to do at this point.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to go to a deserted island, call me when this is all over.
Yeah,
but, I think I surround myself with creative people, and that's what I've learned through his spirit and his teachings, just being around him. I would hope that he would be proud of me and what I've been pushing and how, you know, how his kids came out and how we all became successful in our own ways. And I think he would be proud today and see his grandchildren and be proud of them too.
Definitely. Yeah. You know, I have one more question, and then I promised our audience that, and I can see in the messages there that we have some questions, and I want to go on Facebook too to see what people are chatting about. But my last question is there anything else that you ever wanted to do besides music, like as a career?
Uh, yeah, I could. I'm going to make this very. It's going to sound very odd, Judy. I was actually studying
Come on, spill it. It's
forensic.
what women want. We want to hear it.
I was studying forensic science back in my last year of high school and going into college. But I was into music, but I was fascinated with forensics. And, I went to go visit the local morgue and all that. And I was like, man, this and that. And then my father told me one day, he said, what are you trying to do? Be a mortician? I said, yeah, I'm fascinated by it. And he's like, look, you can do that. You probably get paid a lot too. But my father taught me something, which is music brings people together, brings joy in life. Being a mortician doesn't really do that, So
it's almost like you wanted to get as far away as you could from it for a minute.
And I just love the fact that my father brought people alive and together, and his music. It was the music that really brought people alive, and that's why I kind of just turned towards music more so than ever. And that was just a little history lesson on me that I wanted to be a forensic scientist at one time, but I had some odd jobs. I worked at gas stations and Mickey D's, and all the kids in the '80s all worked at some port at a car wash or something, a lemonade stand. I worked at a drive-in movie theater, and I did all kinds of odd jobs. And I'm glad because my father did not spoil me in that way. He said, you got to, earn your living, work hard.
Oh, that's fantastic.
He was on the road a lot. So at home, it was my mother that was really smashing the hammer down on us and saying, you guys got to get your own, find your footing in this world.
Right. There are no handouts here. Yeah.
My first job was
Bob's Big Boy as a waitress. But that's another story.
He left me his name, but I had to make sure that I do something with it. And now hopefully that we can bring his life, his legacy, all that together and make a whole enterprise and brand, Tito Puente. He's really, really exceptional. I also wanted to plug something really quick. This is it's a Hispanic Heritage Month. So all you moms and dads out there, there's a great book you guys can pick up. It's Tito Puente, Mambo King, Rey del Mambo. And you guys can pick it up on Amazon and wherever they sell books. Very, very cool book. I thought it'd be kind of cool to teach your kids about Tito Puente during Hispanic Heritage Month.
I love it. Excellent. Yeah, you can plug whatever you want. So I have some questions from some of the people that have been writing in. And by the way, everyone, stay on because we are going to get a few minutes of drums. He's not allowed more than that, but we are going to get a few minutes of drums after we get some answers to your questions. I had Lucy Brummett that emailed earlier today. And she said, thank you, Lucy, by the way, for watching. She said, what message would you give to kids during Hispanic Heritage Month? Oh, and I love the song, Oye, ¿Cómo va?
Of course you do. Okay, so the message I would say would be like, if you are playing music and you are into your instrument, whether it be saxophone, horn instrument, woodwind, or brass, and if you're a singer and, of course, a percussion player, I say really take this time out now to hone in on your craft. And really study music. A lot of kids are at home now with computers in front of them. I for one, have my grandchildren and my children all in front of computers every day, learning. And during their music classes, especially during Hispanic Heritage Month, learn a little bit about the history and learn about Celia Cruz, Johnny Pacheco, Fania All-Stars, and of course, Tito Puente. These are iconic figures that really, really should be remembered. And you can see the impact that they made with Hispanics around the world. So I think that would be like a fantastic opportunity for all kids and parents to look up Tito Puente. Just Google it, and I swear you're going to have a great time learning about the history of Latin music.
Just play his music and you'll be catapulted into another galaxy
of happy. Turn to a Zumba class.
Exactly. Okay, so I had a few technical difficulties earlier. I kind of almost had a breakdown before we had the Zoom call. And I had to put my monitor here and my computer over here. So I'm going to go over here because people are messaging like crazy. And I want to see some of the things that they're saying. I have, let's see, fabulous interview. Hi, Tito, from Angela Posilico.
Angela Posilico, yes.
Posilico.
My darling, yes.
Hi, Angela. Thank you.
Hi, Angela. Love you, darling.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. She's on Zoom. Lucy Brummett, of course, I just read her question. Oh, gosh, you got a lot of comments here. A lot of energy going around here. Let's see. There should be some dots. Any questions you guys are posting here? Tito is that voice for people today. That is a blessing.
Aww, that's sweet.
That was my major too, Bernadette Panier. Bernadette, you were in forensic science. Wow.
Yeah.
Music is so much more fun.
Yes, it is.
You could still own a funeral home someday. She's so funny. Oh, I love the book from Scholastic too. Love your perspective. Would love you to say to us, as you love the current music for my college kids, Perez, from Perez Stevens.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
I think there should be more music in the universities and conservatories of music, and that's really what's missing now with these kids today. I think they need a lot more energy. My father, you mentioned earlier that he had a scholarship fund, and he did that for over 20 years in providing a young students in the New York area to go to Juilliard School of Music, and then it became something that worldwide, which is great that he gave that opportunity to young kids. He always was looking, to be a philanthropist and try to help out those.
Yeah, he said it was a lifelong dream of his.
Yes, absolutely, and it's great because then he will always be remembered as that pinnacle person that everybody can look up to. I wouldn't call him the godfather of Mambo, but they consider him the Mambo Pope. I saw on Wikipedia, the Mambo Pope. I get a kick out of that. But he was just a great man, 7-time Grammy Award winner, 14 nominations, star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And he was in many movies, Mambo Kings, Armed and Dangerous. You guys remember all those? And he was a suspect on The Simpsons, Judy. Who shot Mr. Burns? Tito Puente.
I love it.
I don't know if you remember that one.
I don't. But he also got a Lifetime Achievement Award also, too.
Yes, he got quite a few Lifetime Achievement Awards from NARIS and the Grammys and the Latin Grammys. And, of course, he performed for about 5 presidents, Democrats and Republicans, and he performed for leaders of different countries.
And I'm sure they all enjoyed it just the same, no matter
Prime Ministers,
what their
everybody.
beliefs were.
He was never political. He was a Mambo ambassador.
Happy is not political. It's just happy. And when you hear music like that, it just brings you to another dimension. Yeah. Okay, so we're on Facebook Live here. I'm going down to Facebook Live. Helen Powers, thanks for watching. We have Bernadette, Nita Patel. I'm having sound issues. Oh no, not sure why you can't hear. Well, we're gonna, I think I managed to hit the record button before I started all of this. Okay. So we're gonna send it out and get it out to the people who couldn't hear you. But I would love to hear a little bit of the drums before it gets too late and your kids and your wife start yelling at you.
I'm gonna get you're gonna see a chancla flying into the screen here. Yes, I will play a little bit for you.
Okay.
Again, I want to thank all the fans for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. So let me jam out. I'm not too sure how to do this. I tried to do this on a Zoom call before. So I'm just going to pull back a little bit and then I'm going to bring the drums into the focus or to the frame.
Okay.
Of the picture.
And I want to make sure too that you plug the next, concert or performance or whatever you're doing so we can join you online or join you, in person eventually.
Yes.
You did promise me a seat, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You get front row, girl, all the way. But I got to see you dancing. You got to mambo dance. Again, everybody can follow me at Facebook. I have a Facebook page, Tito Puente Jr. Follow me on Instagram at Tito Puente Jr. Of course, Twitter as well. And I'm starting to do the TikTok thing with my kids, so you can find me doing some silly dances there. However, the best place to go to see the docu-series on how the progression of it is all coming along, because that's really, really exciting for me and my family. And I just want to share that with the album that I'm doing. You guys can just follow me on Facebook to see how I'm doing that. That's personal for me. But for the world to see the story of Tito Puente, go to thetitopuenteproject.com. That's the website, thetitopuenteproject.com. And I got all the producers there. Edward James Olmos, of course, it's his baby right now. And we're really excited to share that. Let's play some drums, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
All right, let me see if I can do this. I'm not too savvy at this Zoom thing, girl, so you got to bear with me, and I'm going to try
Me neither, man. I barely signed on tonight.
Okay, so it's going to get a little loud in here, so I'm going to take these off, and I'm just going to pull up, and I'm going to start, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, everybody. Well, lo siento, it's not in my studio, but we're in my living room. Here we go. Uh-huh.
Ooh, how pretty.
All right. I'm going to sit up here.
That was awesome. Gorgeous drums too, my gosh.
These are actually my father's drums. And
Really?
so I got to thank Margie Puente, my mom, for sending these down to me. I appreciate them. I keep these safely with me. I try not to take them on the road too much because they're so beautiful, but they're custom made. If you look at my father's last concert, it was April 20th of 2000. These were one of his last drums that he performed with.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
God bless. That is
Close to my heart.
There's someone that
Yeah.
was dancing in their bedroom. Good thing we don't have video on that.
I think I scared everybody's pets. Their dogs and cats
This
are
is
running.
so fun. They're loving it, Tito. I mean, it's just great. I have a question too. Hold on. Somebody had
Sure.
a question. Bernadette, what is the strangest place you've ever been booked to perform?
Wow. I've done some really wild concerts.
What Women Want show?
There you go. I think I could tell you, I won't say strange, but it was just, what would be the word? I guess unique would be, I performed at the base of Mount Everest in Kathmandu over there in Nepal, which is beautiful. They have a big festival called Jazzmandu out there, and it was the mountains overlooking us, but it was a beautiful experience, and a lot of Tibetan monks were out there, and of course they were dancing mambo. They were dancing mambo. It was incredible seeing that.
Seriously?
Monks and mambo, yeah. That was something really spectacular to see.
But that's you, Tito. That's you combining the cultures and the sound and the feeling. I mean, when you feel that happy and you dance, there is no language barrier. There is nothing to stop people.
No, and it was a fantastic opportunity to see how far-reaching Tito Puente music goes into this planet. My father did amazing. I think he performed on every continent. He was trying to do a concert on Antarctica, but he didn't get a chance to get there. But maybe that'll be the next one for me. I'll get out there to make his dream come true.
Oh my gosh, that's you know what? I'll come see you there in concert. I'd love to see that.
With the Penguin Mambo.
We have Melissa Perez. Oh, sound issues again. Some people can hear, some people can't. But Catherine Marshall's clapping. She said that is so sweet that those are your father's drums. You know, there definitely was something special when you pulled them out. It was almost like this light was bouncing off of them, and just they are really beautiful.
I love them. They mean a lot to me. LP is a fantastic company. My father worked with the Latin percussion company. And again, he was one of the first to bring the drums in the front, the timbales, which is a derivative of the timpani drum from France. And then this is what we're playing, and what my father was playing for all that time in the 50 years of his career was Afro-Cuban music. Afro-Cuban music, mambo, cha-cha-cha, guanguanco. Today they call it salsa. Right. My father would say, salsa tomate goya. And so you put your chips in at the restaurant. But this is Afro-Cuban music, and LP is one of the pioneers, and he has his own brand of timbales, Tito Puente brand timbales, which are these. And of course, he has his own timbale sticks, and everything that has to do with Latin percussion. You always think of Tito Puente. So beautiful opportunity to work with this company. And
I read somewhere that at one time you had 50 sets of timbale drums in your garage or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I have them in a warehouse. So I got most of the incredible drums. I have drums from different countries too that were given as gifts to my father. A lot of cheques, a lot of timbales, really custom made stuff like this, and of course I have the original drums from the Olympics in the 1996 Olympics in Atlanta, where my father performed with the great Gloria Stefan, and I think Stevie Wonder was there, and some great artists. And it was a beautiful opportunity. They designed the drums with the logo of the Olympics, and he got to do some very, very amazing concerts using his drums, and he wanted to just make sure that people remembered him for the timbal and the percussion, because that's what makes people dance, Judy, is that Latin percussion, the conga, the timbal, the bongo. People remember melodies, but it's the rhythm that makes you move.
And that's why he put the drums in the front.
That's right. There you go. That's why he put them in the front, and people get excited when they see that. And when they see Puente live in concert, he was just an amazing. We will only see icons like that once in our lifetime. I put my father in the same category of Tchaikovsky, Duke Ellington, Count Basie,
for sure.
Mozart, Michael Jackson, and of course our queen, Celia Cruz, another iconic legend that will sorely be missed, but we only get to see that once in our lifetime. I don't think we'll ever see icons and titans of mambo music like Celia and Tito ever again. Hopefully, the new generation can bring a new generation of those type of iconistic figures and new sounds of mambo.
Well, you're leading the charge in that way.
I hope I can bridge them. That's why my name's Puente, bridge.
There you go.
Yeah, trying to bridge the generations. My son, his name is Tito Puente Jr. Jr. So I'm trying to get him to play. Yeah, I'm trying to get him to play a little bit of drums. He's only 12, but he knows who his grandfather is, and you know, I encourage him to do whatever he wants in the world. I always support him in anything that his dreams are. But the more and more as he gets older, he keeps asking to see more videos and learn a little bit more about drum sounds. And you know, I hope that he ends up, you know, taken after his great grandfather or his grandfather.
I'm sure.
You know.
It's in the blood, obviously.
Yeah. Very exciting.
Sure. How old were you when you started realizing that your father was a legend? I mean, when did you start realizing, oh my gosh, I'm not growing up with a normal father?
Yeah, right. I can tell you the moment where me and my sister figured out how famous he was. And I think you might remember a group called Menudo. There was an old boy band group in the 1980s with Ricky Martin.
Crush.
Yeah, Ricky Martin was in the group. Robbie Rose. So we went to Madison Square Garden in New York City, and my father got us some, you know, I think the first 5 rows. We were in the front, and Menudo was like, "Hey, everybody, look, Tito Puente's in the audience," and the whole crowd went crazy. The spotlight.
And you're like,
that was the end of the Menudo concert.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I was like, "You guys are cheering for this old man right here with the white hair?" Me and my sister were so embarrassed, but it was an incredible opportunity to see how powerful or the magnitude of his spirit of Tito Puente. Even a group like Menudo was very much influenced, being Puerto Rican, being Hispanic, and seeing a great icon like that, watching them. My dad took us to the concert because we liked them.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. Well, all of your stories are so touching and inspiring. And I'm just so happy that you came on the show and you're spreading your music and your love, you know, at a time when we just really need it. You know, so it's just wonderful to see.
You mentioned that you mentioned that in the last Zoom that we did with Tina, that, you know, it's kind of tough for you and for me and for all of us, that we're so used to being interactive with people. And I'm glad that you took the opportunity to reach out to me, because I was like, hey, I'd love to do that, because it makes me feel like I'm connecting with people, even though we're not physically around each other, but we can connect through music, we can connect through spirituality, and we can definitely connect through the sounds of what my father left. That sound is incredible. If anybody's watching tonight, I just want to just share with you that if you listen to one Tito Puente song per day for the next 365 days, I promise you this quarantine and this whole, you know, social distancing thing will go by much quicker, and we'll be back on the dance floors real soon. It always makes me feel. It always makes me feel better to listen to Tito Puente song. Any song.
To that.
I promise you, you will feel your day will go by quicker and better.
I love it. Well, thank you so much again for coming on the show, and everybody out there that's watching, and even if you're watching the recording, we're just so grateful for you, Tito and I, and I'm so grateful for you for following me over all the years with the What Women Want show, and especially for our new model lifestyle series. We are going to have some other great guests too. Tito, you set the bar really high, but I think I can get some other great guests coming on the show after this.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it, Judy. You're a doll. And I got to tell you, I was just as a full disclosure, my wife was like, asked me, she said, what show are you doing? I said, What Women Want. She goes, do you think they want mambo right now? I said, maybe. So hopefully I inspired not just women, men, kids, everybody today with a little bit of Puente music.
Well, you know what? You can tell your wife, that's what Women Want is all about. We really try to bring women and men. We have some men too, who are members and followers, and we really try to bring everyone something that's, you know, out of the box, something that's, you know, very uniquely inspiring, because I believe that's how we learn the best, you know, is from each other, and from, you know, picking people that will really have stories that will just lift us up, and it's just more important than ever to have that. So thank you so much again. And where can we find you again? How can people contact you?
You guys can follow me on Facebook. It's facebook.com/Tito Puente Jr. I got a beautiful fan page there. You guys can see all the updates of the tour dates that will be for next year. We are going to do the 20th anniversary concert, but we postponed it for next year, knock on wood. And you guys can see all the updates there at Tito Puente Jr. on Instagram and at Tito Puente Jr. on Twitter. And you can follow me on the TikTok too. It's Tito Puente. Just type me in right there. And you can see all the updates, and definitely look at the Tito Puente Project.com for the beautiful and incredible docu-series that Mr. Edward James Olmos and his team are producing for the Tito Puente story, life story, and hopefully the biopic in 2022. And of course, it's Hispanic Heritage Month. Read to your kids. Pick up this great book. You guys will love it. It's all about my father. It's very easy to read. Kids love it. My grandkids love it. And don't forget to take a listen to some of this great music that my old man left, man. It's just fantastic. And you guys take care of yourselves. Wear your masks and wash your hands. All the kids out there, take a look at Tito Puente on your computers for this Hispanic Heritage Month. I know I get a lot of kids who reach out to me during this time and they want to do reports and stuff like that on Latin music icons. And Tito Puente is perfect. I bet you guys will all get A's.
I love it. That's great. Thank you everyone so much for watching and again for always supporting me over the years. You can find me on my hosting page at Judy Goss Lifestyle TV Host. That's on Facebook, and on Instagram I'm at Judy Goss TV Host, Judy Goss TV Host. So Facebook is Judy Goss Lifestyle TV Host, Instagram Judy Goss TV Host, and of course always on What Women Want Show. Thank you again, everyone. Happy Hispanic Heritage Month. Tito, thank you again for supporting us and everything that you do. And I'm waiting for my VIP seat at the concert next year.
I got you. I got you. For sure.
All right. Goodbye, everyone.
Gracias.